Well, hello everybody. We're finally back. The NHL season's almost here. We're going to talk about some of the new CBA that's come out, some of the new headlines to start it, and some of the matchups that's coming to you here soon with the regular season starting within less than 2 weeks. So I'll send over to the great Sean Wallace. I'm Aiden Calkins. He'll let us know what's going on today.
I'm excited to talk about the new CBA, the new playoff salary cap, 84 games, and we can talk about some games that we are looking forward to on this new schedule, new slate of hockey games coming in less than 2 weeks. I am excited. Anything you want to talk about first in particular, Aiden? I know there's a certain star, not necessarily unhappy, but he wants more money in Minnesota.
We'll get to him in a minute. I think we should discuss the CBA though, because I think that's more of the pressing issues at hand right now. How do you feel about the new 84 game schedule coming next year?
I love it from a fan perspective. Who wouldn't like it? I think it's great. I don't know how much the players like it. I don't know. An extra 2 games, I don't think it's going to kill anybody, but I'm certainly looking forward to seeing it. I wonder if the NBA will do the same thing. I'd be curious. What are your thoughts? I am looking forward to it.
I think that it's a good move, especially if they're going to expand, because you're going to have to add more games in to compensate for those teams that are going to have to play them twice a year. The bad part about it is what's probably going to happen is they're going to have to take away from in-division games, which I think are really important, especially when it comes to the stretch in the playoffs. So, but other than that, I think it's a good move. I like more hockey. We all like more hockey. That's why we do this podcast. That's why we watch the sport. So the longer it lasts, the happier I am personally.
I think you bring up a great point about expansion, and I'd be curious as to I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on what teams or what cities could get an expansion team.
I think that the Eastern Conference is going to get Atlanta, and I think the Western Conference is going to get Houston.
Thrashers Part 3.
Yep.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to that.
So,
Yeah, I think Houston is definitely a possibility. I think his last name is Fertitta, the guy that owns the Rockets.
mhm.
I know he's inquired about it in the past. I know he wants to own a WNBA team. He's looking everywhere. Yeah, I think they have a Toyota Center. I think is more than capable of having an arena, a hockey arena.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'd be curious to see if Houston is the route they go, and I'd be curious to see if they give Atlanta a third try. I certainly remember watching the Thrashers when I was little, and I remember watching them become the Jets. So it'd be cool to see the Thrashers in the NHL again. Um, yeah, I'd be curious to see what happens. I'm glad to see the 84 games. The new CBA, so the new playoff salary cap rules. Can you kind of lead us through the whole situation here? What changes have they made? How will this affect the Golden Knights and the Panthers?
And the
What's
Lightning.
going on here?
So essentially, the NHL pretty much put out a memo, or not a memo. They pretty much said starting this year, this NHL season, that you have to be pretty much cap compliant to in the NHL playoffs as well. You cannot take, for example, Mark Stone and his $9 million cap hit. I don't know if that's how much he makes, but it's roughly what he makes, and put that on LTIR and then go trade for a guy like Tomas Hertl and then activate Stone for the playoffs. That's no longer going to fly. You have to be cap compliant. You can only call up a certain amount of players or have a certain amount of players on your roster, and it has to be set to the league. I'm pretty sure is how the rule is going to be. So it now takes away the LTIR stuff that is allowing teams like Tampa had in their cup runs, and Vegas has done most trade deadlines, and Florida the past couple of years to acquire players that they couldn't acquire because they're throwing like a Matthew Tkachuk or a Mark Stone, or I guess you could say back then would have been a Kucherov or something like that on LTIR to free up cap space. That's no longer going to fly in the NHL. I like it. It takes away the advantage that you get for doing that, and it makes teams think more about how they're going to make their rosters better going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm glad it finally takes away that loophole. It'll give teams like Vegas, like Florida, maybe less of an advantage. But I know I've said this in the past, and I'll say it again. Teams like those were very smart to take advantage of the loophole. I know everyone got so mad at them to say, oh, they're cheating. They're not cheating. They're playing by the rules. That's why they finally fixed the loophole. I think Zito and all those guys in Vegas, I think they did a great job to take advantage of that. And the progress, and it all paid off because we've seen both teams win championships. So I'd be curious to see how it affects them going forward. Strategies might change. Yeah, I'm curious to see how it all unfolds, but I think it was a good move by the NHL to give everyone a fair shot now. Anything else you want to talk about with the new CBA?
No, I think that kind of touches everything we know. There's rumors of contracts coming up now. They're going to shorten UFA contracts down to 6 years.
Yes. Yep.
But again, it might be all official, but I don't want to make any kind of statements on it until I 100% know and I see it from the league. What we've talked about today has been confirmed by the league, but the 6 year contract stuff, that was all kind of speculation, has not been ratified yet, I don't think, but the other two have. So that's 100% coming next year and this playoffs. So transferring gears, you're going to talk about the NHL season. We're going to get more into it in our next episode when we talk about kind of where we think standings are going to go. What matchups are you looking forward to this year, Sean? Like the interesting games that have come out with the new schedule getting released a couple months ago.
I'm going to, little bias here. and this one's not listed on the schedule, but I'm a little mad we got both the Winter Classic and the Stadium Series in Florida. Not that I think it's weird, but as a Caps fan, this is the last year Ovi and Crosby are playing against each other. Ovi's going to retire at the end of the season, at least so I think. I wanted to see at least a Winter Classic or a Stadium Series, Crosby and Ovechkin for one last time. It didn't happen. But you know what? I guess you can't win them all. With that being said, I don't think it's a bad idea to have both games in Florida. It's kind of neat when you think about it. I'm a little disappointed as a Caps fan, but I think it's a good idea. Otherwise, I'd be curious to see how each team does. I'd be curious to see the atmosphere. I know people kind of harp on the fact that maybe Florida's not the biggest hockey state. So I'd be curious to see how the fans react, what the atmosphere is like. I'm looking forward to all those things. Another game, a couple more games that I'm excited for. January 19th, I have this one marked because this is Jonathan Taves' return to Chicago. This is the first year he's back in the NHL since he played with the Blackhawks. I'd be curious to see how he responds to the atmosphere. I'd be curious to see how the Blackhawks fans respond to him playing back in Chicago. I think it'll be a really interesting game to watch. I'd be curious to see how the Blackhawks do this season, and same with the Jets. Might be a blowout. Probably will be a blowout. Another game, 4 days after that, Mitch Marner returning to Toronto. I'd be curious to see how Maple Leafs fans react to him coming back. Might be a little bit of booze.
I don't think it'll be a little bit of booze. I think it'll be a lot of booze. Think of what happened with Jack Eichel in Buffalo. I think that's exactly what we're going to get out of Mitch Marner when he goes back to Toronto.
And I agree. Both two really good teams. I think it'll be a great game. Even just the other day, their general manager was like, now we don't have what is it, the big four?
The core four.
Yeah, core four. We don't have a core four anymore. So
No longer talking about it.
Yeah, interesting comments. I like those 4 games. I think those are the ones that I'm looking at right now heading into the season. What about you? Anything you got circled?
Well, you stole 2 of my games. I had, obviously, Taves going back to Chicago and then Marner back to Toronto. But I've got 2. One's a little biased. The other one, not so much. Paterka coming back to Buffalo. With all the rumors and all the hearsay that's been coming out about why JJ wanted to leave, I don't think that Buffalo faithful, they might, because they already liked JJ before he left, but they might not be so happy and might not treat him as well as people might think. I think it'll be a very interesting game, especially with Utah being on the up and up and Buffalo kind of in that no man's land where they have to contend, but nobody thinks they're going to this year. We'll see where that goes, and we'll talk about the Sabres a little bit later on the podcast regarding Alex Tuch, but we're not there yet. My other game that I have circled is... It actually happens very early in the season, and it's Sullivan versus Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's going to be really interesting how the Rangers are going to play with Mike Sullivan, especially against the Crosby-led Penguins, who Sidney had a very, very good relationship with Mike Sullivan. Led that team to back-to-back cups. And I guess it was time for a change, and they want that right because Pittsburgh's looking in the direction of a rebuild, even though they won't come out and admit it. We'll see how that game is. I think it's going to be very interesting for both sides. And I think it'll be great hockey for all of us to watch. So if you can watch that game, 100% do it.
Yeah, and I forget which insider mentioned it, but someone, whether it was Saravalli or Freeman, said, I think Pittsburgh is the only team out of the 32 in the NHL that are literally trying not to win this season.
Sounds like something Saravalli would say. I don't think Elliott would say that. I think it's something that Saravalli would say.
And I swear by this. I mentioned it in an episode over the summer. Gavin McKenna has Pittsburgh written all over it.
He goes to Penn State.
Successor, Malkin's successor, whatever you want to call him. There's no such thing as rigging the lottery. But if they were to rig the lottery, that is the most Gary Bettman thing to do. I don't know. That's just how I feel.
I mean, he does go to Penn State now. So, I mean, it's written in the stars, I guess, if you're a Penguins fan.
Look, I'm not saying that the lottery's rigged, right? I'm just saying, I think Gavin McKinnon to Pittsburgh has, Gavin McKinnon to Pittsburgh, I feel like it's almost set in stone, like it's going to happen.
I hope not.
Pittsburgh rebuilding. I hope not either. I feel like he has Pittsburgh written all over him. But we'll see what happens. I think that's a very great point you make up about Sullivan in New York. I've said it time and time again. I think Mike Sullivan's going to turn the Rangers around. I really think it was a Lafayette problem. I keep saying that. I still stand by it. The Rangers are a talented team. I know they made some moves in the offseason, getting rid of Miller, but they added some guys too. I think Sullivan's going to turn him around. I'd be curious to see how Pittsburgh handles that game, how they honor him. I mean, certainly he's a very valuable part of the franchise, and like you said, it was just time to move on. But yeah, I think that'll be a great game too, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Anything else on the schedule that stands out to you?
Nothing really. I mean, something minor is Rantanen returning to Carolina after that flawed all-in push for the Hurricanes that resulted in him getting traded to Dallas. But that's all I could really think of that's like a major deal. Like maybe Ehlers going back to Winnipeg, but I don't think there'll be any harsh feelings there because I already kind of knew Ehlers was out after this year from Winnipeg. He's going to look to go somewhere else. But yeah, I really think that there's nothing. Obviously, when things comes up, like maybe Edmonton and Florida regular season. That'll be interesting because the back-to-back Cup finals last 2 years of Florida's beat them both times. So those also might be a little interesting. But you mentioned earlier in the podcast, there's a certain superstar in Minnesota that's not very happy, or reportedly unhappy with the contract he got offered. Let's talk about it, Sean.
I wouldn't necessarily call the situation a bad one. I don't really necessarily think tensions are rising just yet to the point where he's like, hey, trade me. I don't think that's the case. I don't necessarily think he's unhappy, but I think in the back of everyone's mind, his agent, himself, maybe even the Wild, know that he could definitely get more than $16 million a year. And I think we touched on the new CBA earlier. I think the Wild right now should maybe take advantage of the fact that they can offer him an 8-year contract instead of a 7 would be the max under the new CBA. I think they want to take advantage of that. I'd be curious to see how much money he gets. Maybe they do settle at 16. I know last season, we were all debating on how much is Shesterkin going to get. He was not happy with 11, and then he settled with 11.5,
something like that.
So maybe it's just the extra $500,000. Who knows? But I think they'll get it sorted out pretty quickly. I know, last time Minnesota handed out some monster extensions, didn't work out very well.
No.
So hopefully it'll work out this time. I know Kaprizov is a very talented player. They just need more around him to maybe make that playoff push. So maybe it's a situation you say, all right, well, maybe if we hand him this much money, do we have enough cap to go out and sign, talent around him to actually help us make a playoff push?
Especially with this free agent class upcoming being so loaded. For context, Kirill Kaprizov reportedly turned down a $15 million per year contract from the Wild. That was reported by Frank Stravali. Pretty sure.
Wasn't it 16?
It was 15. Pretty sure it was 15 per year. Turned it down. My opinion on that is they're trying to figure out with the cap going up, to figure out what the market's going to be. Right now, the reported rumor is it's going to be $18 million is what the estimate is what he might get, which, as I'm trying to tell people, the $10 million nowadays, and we'll get to why it's important here, that'll be the next point I make, before we talk about extensions that have happened and then injury updates, is $10 million now in the new cap era might be our current $7-8 million contracts. And our 18, 17, 18, maybe even 19, depending on what McDavid signs for this offseason, is going to be our new like 11, 10, 11, 12. And people got to understand that. So you're not going to see a lot of these UFAs sign contracts this early in the offseason because they're trying to figure out what the market's going to be when cap goes up. So I would not expect to see a lot of extensions to happen unless the team is that desperate to give out an extension just to get it done. I guarantee you that guys like Eichel, guys like Kaprizov, I think Adrian Kempe for the Kings is also a free agent, I believe. You're going to see these guys hit the open market. Now, will you see them go somewhere? Probably not, but they're going to hit the open market just to get a gauge where the cap value is going to be for their contracts.
Sorry, I was drinking water. I think this offseason was almost like the calm before the storm. We saw a very crappy offseason, and now we're going to see a really active one, a really exciting one very soon. I thought it was so funny. People talking about how, all these insiders are saying, it's only a matter of time before it happens. The offseason is going to start getting really exciting. We're going to start seeing trades, start seeing signings, and nothing happened. Absolutely nothing.
The biggest moves of the offseason was J.J. Peterka getting traded and then Ehlers going to Carolina because everybody from Florida re-signed, and Marner went to Vegas, which was the worst kept secret in hockey for 2 weeks.
Yep, that's all true.
Pretty much.
It was a boring offseason. Hopefully the season itself will make up for the boring offseason, but I'm looking forward to next offseason. I'd be curious, like you said, with people like McDavid. What does he sign for? I think the Oilers have actually done a fairly good job at managing their cap space. They're one of the older teams, but they ship out guys like McLeod and bring in Savoy. They acquired Isaac Howard, another young guy. So they're still trying to maintain their championship level status, but at the same time they're trying to get younger and cheaper so they can maybe re-sign guys like McDavid and get these young rentals. Things like that. And they ship out the guys like McLeod, who they know they're going to have to offer more money, but they need that money to sign McDavid. So, I like how they're managing their roster. Now it's just a matter of can they finally get their guy locked up for long term, maybe keep him in an Oilers uniform for the rest of his career. I'd be curious to see what they do. Man, I really got to stay up saying I'd be curious to see what they do. I really like that phrase, don't I? Maybe it's time to find something else to say. But other players, Kyle Connor in Winnipeg. I'd be curious.
Connor.
What Kyle Connor does is going to be very interesting to me. There we go. There's a new phrase I can use 24/7. The Jets, I think the reason why they let Ehlers go, well, they didn't have much cap space to begin with, but they need all that money they can use to sign Kyle Connor. He could be the highest paid player in the league one day. So we'll see what happens over there in Winnipeg. They definitely have the talent to win the cup right now. They just got to take advantage of that window while they still have it. There is a player on the Panthers, a very important player, injured for the foreseeable future. Barkov. What do you think about this, Hayden? What the heck happened?
So there's a video that went around today. Alexander Barkov was just kind of skating towards the puck in a battle, and if you look at it, his knee buckles and he goes straight to the ice. He is helped off. They said that he's going to be, I'm pretty sure they said he's out maybe until December, but as the way it looks like it could be a possible ACL tear. We're not here to speculate, but it does not look good. He is definitely hurt. It's a big loss for the Panthers. He's their Selke nominated centerman that does everything for those top lines for this Panthers team. If they lose him, especially for the year, it is going to be a very big hole for them to fill. Now, with that being said, I think that Anton Lundell can take that next step and be the second line, be the first line center. He showed it during the playoffs. He played a really, really good two-way game throughout the playoffs, and he was a really good difference maker for this Panthers team. However, you're not going to replace Alexander Barkov. Period. So if he's out long term, which I hope for his sake, and Panthers fans, he's not, because we don't want to see anybody, especially a player of that caliber, get hurt. If he's out long term, Florida's going to be looking for something, especially with Kachuk also being out until maybe after the Olympics. So I think it's a massive loss for the Panthers if Barkov is out long term.
Yeah, absolutely. There's absolutely no doubt about that. They really just have to, if it is an ACL, no one knows what the extent of the injury is. If they miss him for half the season, fine, maybe get him back in the playoffs. But if they don't have him ready for the playoffs, that is a huge loss. That is definitely a shot to the gut. No question. That's their captain. They need him. One of the most talented players on that team, on that first line. Lundell, got to step up. Let's see. Marchand Rodriguez, obviously, Marchand just got paid handsomely, even for his age. So, got to expect guys like that to step up. Yeah, it'll be a bad one. That's definitely, I'd say unlucky, but the Panthers have had a lot of luck the past 3 seasons. So,
right. No, they're saying that he's gonna be results for his MRI tomorrow. But like I said, if you watch the video, he's making a move and his leg just gives out. Like it's not great. So I hope for the best for the Barkov, and hopefully it's nothing major. Hopefully he just tweaks something and he's only out for a few weeks and comes back.
Yeah, I think back to Ovechkin against Utah last season. McBain, I think that was his name.
Jack McBain.
Yeah, hit him in the leg, and Ovechkin's leg just gave out, and everyone thought he was done. Like ACL tear, ligament tear, maybe, yeah. Everyone was so disappointed. It turns out it's just a fracture, and he came back in a month. Yeah, that's the Russian machine for you. Never breaks, baby.
Never breaks.
Yeah, I really thought he tore his ACL, but our prayers were answered. So maybe it's one of those situations. Maybe it's not an ACL. Maybe I have no idea. Yeah, certainly hope for the best there for Barkov and the Panthers. See if they can do a three-peat. My computer froze. That's unfortunate. I don't have the list in front of me, Aiden. What is up next?
So we're going to talk about, do you want to talk about extensions? Do you want to talk about injuries? Or do we want to talk about Alex Tuch's situation?
You go ahead and say your part on the Alex Tuch situation while I try to get my computer booted up.
So the report came out today. A couple weeks ago, Sabres insider Chad Demadomslis, pretty sure he pronounced his last name. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Chad, I love you. You're great. Reported that the Sabres and Tuch were talking about an extension, and it was rumored to be around the $9 million range. Today, a report came out saying that Tuch and the Sabres are far apart on a number for a contract value. And again, I think that has a lot to do with the Sabres not having any leverage, knowing that the team is going to be really kind of in a morale bad spot if Tuch leaves, and that the cap is going up. So they kind of want to see what the number looks like. As a Sabres fan, do I want to pay him $10 to $12 million? Not preferably. Do I want Alex Tuch to be a Sabre for the rest of his career? Yes. And I'm pretty sure any Sabre fan would say that. I hope he comes back. He's one of my favorite players. He's a really key, important part of this team. He should get sulky votes because he's that good of a two-way forward he's become in the last 3-4 years with the Sabres. But I think this will get resolved at some point. I think the Sabres will cave eventually, like they did with Jeff Skinner, and they gave him that amount of money. I think he'll get between 10 and 12. Personal opinion, I think he gets between 10 and a half and 11. But Alex Tuch needs to be a Sabre because he's a very important piece of this top six group, and if they lose him, they're not going to be able to replace him because they don't have many forwards on this team that can play the two-way role he does. So that's my thoughts on the Alex Tuch situation here for the Sabres.
That's perfect because when you finish that up, I got my computer back.
Excellent.
But no, I totally agree with you. That's a very important part of the Sabres hockey club. Yeah, Alex Tuch, he's irreplaceable. Everything he's done for the city, his talent, his skill. I'd say, for as bad as the Sabres have been, just throw him whatever he wants. They lose Alex Tuch. Yeah, it's going to be really tough. I don't know who they can replace him with. Not many people can replace Alex Tuch.
Unless you're going out there and trading for like a Sorelli, who might be available from Tampa, then you're not really going to be able to replace that kind of production and that kind of two-way ability.
Right, and the fact of the matter is, everyone knows this, the cap is going up.
Oh, yes.
Alex Tuch is only probably going to get more expensive. Just sign him now while he's probably cheap. You never know if it can go up, and maybe he's even more unaffordable. So take advantage of it now. Give him the money he wants. Not many guys you can replace him with, or even draft compensation-wise. Those are my thoughts on it. Anything else you want to talk about as far as extensions? Anybody that comes to mind?
Well, we've got 2 goaltending extensions and
Yes.
a forward extension, so I'll let you take whichever crack at the wheel you want here.
Let's go with the more expensive one first. Dustin Wolf. The Flames lock up their guy for the next 7 years. He's now the 10th highest paid goalie.
Big boy contract.
Yeah, big boy contract is right. The Flames, I think as long as they get their crap together, maybe make another playoff run in the near future, they got their guy locked up. I certainly hope this is the guy they feel as if can lead them to the Stanley Cup. I certainly think that might be the case. He has the talent to do it. It's just a matter of when do they get to that point? When can they finally be Stanley Cup contenders? When they do find out, when they get their guys and they're ready to compete, they got their goalie in net. So can't complain about that. They got their guy.
Yeah, Wolf, as a rookie last year, finished in the top 3 in Calder voting, signed a 7-year, $52.5 million extension, won a very solid 29, 16, and 8 with a 9-10 save percentage as a rookie, and that's very hard to do in the NHL nowadays with how much skill has been. The Flames are an interesting team to me because they know that Rasmus Anderson's out the door. He's a free agent this upcoming year, and he's not resigning. He wants to go to Vegas, but everybody wants to go to Vegas at this rate. They're kind of a tweener team because they've got enough talent to make a playoff run, but they're not good enough to do anything in the playoffs, in my opinion.
Right.
So Calgary's in like a weird spot for me. They're good enough, in my opinion, to be like a 7-8 seed in the West, but they're going to get the crap beat out of them by a Colorado or an Edmonton or possibly a Winnipeg. I don't feel comfortable with this hockey team in the playoffs at all.
Right. My thing about Dustin Wolf, though, is, they now have 7 years to say, okay, now we have our championship team. Now we can compete with the big boys. We got our guy in net. We got our pieces. Now we can go win a cup. When that'll happen, I literally have no idea.
Well, I think
'cause right now they're a 7th, 8th seed, and with the cap only going up, I think in 3 years from now, the Dustin Wolf contract might actually look pretty cheap.
Well, I think right now it looks
he's a more than capable goalie of maybe winning the cup one day.
I think that if he can continue what he did last year, I think this contract already looks like a very good value deal for them.
Oh yeah, no, that's a great point.
You lock up a perennial top 5 goaltender in the league
Yep, we can probably get you a cup once you have a competing team.
Exactly. You lock up your guy early, you don't got to pay him when the cap goes up. I think it's a great deal for Calgary. I do. It's just I don't think they have the team yet. Keyword there is yet. I think eventually they'll get it around because they got a lot of good young players on this roster and the system coming up, like Zane Parrick and all these other guys. I think that in a couple of years they're going to be able to contend for the West again, like they were a couple of years ago when they had Gaudreau, Kachuk, and Lindholm.
Yep, all true. You know whose contract looks even better? Logan Thompson, baby. Let's go. Great value. 6 years. He's not getting paid barely anything, and he's our starting goalie. He's going to lead us to the Stanley Cup. Thank you, Logan Thompson. Anyway, next extension we have.
Caps fan, this guy. Let me tell you.
Spencer Knight. The Blackhawks seem to think that this guy, for the next 3 years, is going to be their starter. What do you think about this, Aiden?
I think the contract's fine. I don't think his numbers in Chicago reflect how he was. That team was a bad team last year. They're probably not going to get much better this year. Hate to say it, unless Connor Bedard goes nuclear, which I don't think is going to happen. I mean, the kids could develop and they could be really good, but I don't see it. I think the contract's good. It's 3 years, 13 and a half total. Or 13, yeah, total. So, I mean, I think it's fine. As I said, I don't think his numbers last year with Chicago really reflect how good of a goalie he is. I think he's going to be a key piece for their backstop. He's now their official number one. The problem with Chicago is it just feels like the last few years they've had cap money. But they're like the Sabres where nobody has any interest in signing in Chicago. Outside of Tiervo Tervainen, but he's an older veteran. So, and he obviously wanted to go back to the place that made him a cup champion 2 times over. So, I don't know. I think that Chicago's trying to rely too much on what the Sabres strategy is. Like, well, we have the young guys, so we're just going to develop and make the young guys good, and then eventually they'll carry us to the playoffs and to a cup possibly. I can tell you right now that doesn't work as a Sabres fan. You got to add veteran talent around it, the good quality veteran talent, not, a minor signing here and there. I think Chicago is just in a really bad spot. They're just tire spinning, and they're tire spinning down in last place in the NHL perennially the last few years. It's not good for them. I think they need to make some kind of splash move, to where they can get a decent, solid player. Will that be free? And it has to be in free agency because they're not going to be in a spot where they're going to be able to trade somebody at the deadline because they're not going to be traded for a rental. So that's my opinion on it. I think it's a good deal for Knight. I think it's a good deal for Chicago, but they need more around him and need more around him fast because I don't think Connor Bedard is going to be too happy sitting here tire spinning. I can see a Jack Eichel situation happening in Chicago with Bedard.
Right, I agree with that. This is a good contract, especially with the cap going up. Spencer Knight, I don't think he has a talent to be like a top 10 goalie. I think he is talented, but I think they paid him what he's worth.
I think he's good, not great.
Exactly. I think he's going to be very average. And honestly, that's kind of the Chicago Blackhawks. They're not even average, but I think their ceiling is literally average.
Yeah,
they'd be lucky to get there.
Quite literally, their ceiling, if all the young guys play, is probably average.
But for an average starting goalie, for the next 3 years, this is a good contract.
I agree.
Not much more to say. I don't expect the Blackhawks to be good. I don't think the Blackhawks expect themselves to be good. So
we'll kind of touch on these last couple points, and we got one last big point, and then we'll probably get to player of the day and what to expect here. Vasily Podkolzin signs a 3-year, $8.85 million contract with the Oilers. Only scored 24 points last year after being traded from Vancouver. It's a good depth signing. He'll be good for the bottom six. He'll be fine. He's young. I don't see him developing into much more than a third and fourth line checking player. That can score a little bit if you need him to. I think it's fine. I don't think it's something we need to overly talk about. It's fine.
I agree.
It's pretty okay.
Yep. Not much more I can say on that. You're right.
Injury news-wise, Nick Paul is out until November after having surgery. It's a big loss for Tampa. He's pretty much their third line forward or third line center. Really good in that role. Great two-way player. Can score a little bit. So it's kind of a big loss for Tampa, but I think they'll be okay with the amount of depth that they have. So I think they'll be fine unless you've got any other thoughts on that, Sean.
No, I agree with you. I like that.
And if you have the return for this trade, Sean, that would be great. I don't know if you do or don't, but Ivan Fedotov was traded from Philadelphia to Columbus, which I thought was kind of a curious move because you have Elvis Merzlikins still there, and it looks like Jet Greaves is going to be the starter there. And then you bring in like a guy like Ivan Fedotov who just came over from Russia like 2 years ago, not even, and does not look great at the NHL level, but he's finally getting the ability to finally get into an NHL level groove. So I guess Columbus is, I'm assuming, going to roll with the strategy of having 3 goalies, or they're planning on trading Merzlikins. Because I don't understand this move from their perspective, bringing in another goaltender.
So I'm glad we see eye to eye on this because I think it was initially reported that they were in the market for looking for a backup goalie. But the way Jet Greaves played at the end of last season made me think that I think he was going to be their backup.
And in preseason, the game against Buffalo he played, he looked good.
So I guess I don't understand because I think not only does he have the potential to be a high-end backup, but if he catches on fire like he did at the last half of the season last year, he might be the starter over Merzlikins.
He should be.
So trading for Fedotov, I don't know. I guess I didn't understand this one.
Well, and I will say this. To his credit, Fedotov looked really good against some of Buffalo's better forwards on Tuesday. So Merzlikins did not. He let in a couple of goals. I was like, against Buffalo. Well, it'll be an interesting battle to go through the rest of the preseason, which is only like a week longer, and change before training camp and preseason ends up and the final rosters are made.
I will say this: I think the Blue Jackets are trying to compete this year. I guess it wouldn't hurt to have three, not necessarily quality goalies, but guys who can kind of switch around and say, hey,
Right.
this guy's hot, this guy's hot. We'll start him when things get going. So if they ever when they start competing, maybe it'd be nice to have three guys in their arsenal that they can use. They can say, hey, we know this guy can be the starter, or hey, this guy's piss poor. Let's throw in this guy. So maybe not necessarily a bad idea to have a rotation of three goalies if one guy catches on fire because, none of them are really that expensive. I know Merzlikins, 5.4 cap hit. Not the cheapest, but not the most expensive either. Fedotov around the $3 million area. So these guys aren't necessarily getting paid like top money. So not necessarily a bad idea. The trade kind of threw me off guard, especially after the way Greaves played towards the end of the season last year. We'll see what happens, but I think Columbus is a sneaky good team this year after the way they played last half
I
of the
agree.
season.
Something we forgot to mention that we didn't write it in our notes, and I know you forgot about it because I forgot about it till like right now. Buffalo Sabres signed Alexander Georgiev to a two-way contract.
I left that off on purpose. I don't care.
It could be something, could be nothing. Right now, with Luukkonen being possibly injured, he may be the backup going into opening night, but as of right now, he is looking to be the backup down in Rochester behind Evan Levi. Again, could be something, could be nothing. Next piece of news before we get to the last big piece of news that came out the last couple weeks. JT Miller named captain of the Rangers just after getting reacquired by them from Vancouver just before the trade deadline last season. Yeah, it's a choice.
Unk still got it, I guess.
Wouldn't have been
Maybe
my...
not on the ice, but he's still a good player on the ice.
I don't know if
he had some. I guess he had some locker room issues last year in Vancouver.
That's why I'm kind of questioning why he got named captain. I would have given it to Fox maybe, but again, I'm not going to disagree with it. Miller's been around the league. He's been known a vocal person and like that. So if that's the direction the Rangers wanted to go in as a captain, then that's their call after trading Trouba last year and Kreider this offseason, two of their bigger name veterans. That one was the captain and Kreider could have been captain after Trouba. But that's the Rangers named Miller captain. I mean, good for him. I guess good for the Rangers, and we'll see how that turns out for him.
Yeah, Jacob Trouba, get ready to learn Anaheim Ducks, buddy.
Well, he already knows how to do that. It's Kreider that needs to learn it because he's just
both of them get ready to learn Anaheim Ducks.
So our last big news is kind of sad for all of us. Anze Kopitar, the LA Kings, is retiring after this year.
Yes, I'm going to talk about that. Yeah, I can't believe that.
He's played so far 1,454 games and has scored 1,278 points. I believe, 3-time Stanley Cup champion, all of the LA Kings.
Not that I should say I can't believe that. I mean, he is old. It's just, it's sad to see a guy like Anze Kopitar, who, we watched him win 2 Cups of the Kings, at least during my childhood when I first started watching hockey. And, more than 10 years later, he's done. Now he's going to be watching from the couch. And it's sad to see these guys go after watching them for so long. You see guys that you grow up with in their prime, and now they're ready to hang it up. It makes me feel old, even though I'm only 21. So
I just think it's crazy how we're losing Kopitar, but we got Taves back this year.
Well, are you ready for Player of the Day?
Yeah, it's back, guys. I'm going to get it right again today. He's going to get it wrong like it always happens.
Yeah, I probably will get it.
Who do you want to go first, Sean? Because I've got yours ready and ripped.
I should get mine over, like ripping off a Band-Aid.
Yeah, get out of the way. Alrighty. Well, okay. This player was drafted in the 3rd round, 82nd overall, in the 1998 entry draft by New Jersey.
Did you say 1988?
1998.
Oh, 1998.
1998.
Oh, okay.
He played with New Jersey from 2001 all the way up until 2009, where he went to Montreal and played there from 2009 until 2014. Then he went to Buffalo for 3 years from 2014 to 2017 and played his last year in Boston in 2017-2018. He played 1,026 games. He had 291 goals, 304 assists for 559 points.
So I'm assuming that the position is a forward.
He is a right-wing forward.
Started with New Jersey. Ended where?
In Boston.
Wait, when did he retire?
Well, he played for the Olympic team. I believe in the last time that, I think before COVID, he played for the Olympic team. But his last NHL season was 2018. 2017, 2018.
I have no idea who this person is.
No guess?
No guess.
It's Brian Gianta.
I have no idea who that is. Everyone's going to laugh at me. I not a clue who that is.
Former captain of Buffalo Sabres, Ryan Gianta.
All right, yeah, you can laugh at me all you want, Sabres fans. I'm sorry I don't pay attention to your former captains. Anyway, here's my player of the day. I don't think you're going to get it.
Okay.
But, here we go. This player was selected 57th overall. This is a second-round pick in 2016 by the Maple Leafs.
Okay.
All right. He was traded to Los Angeles by Toronto with Sean Jeruzzi and Toronto's first-round pick in the 2019 NHL draft for Jake Muzzin. All right?
Okay, I know this deal.
Okay. And then he was traded to San Jose by Los Angeles for, I think that's Kyle Burrows. I can tell you.
Yep.
All right, who's this player?
Is it Carl Gunstrom?
Yeah. Carl Grundstrom.
So he was drafted by Montreal?
No, I said Toronto.
Oh, I thought you said Montreal.
No, I think he was, did I say
I
Montreal?
think you said Montreal. Oh, well. Yeah, you said got traded to L.A. for Muzzin with Dursey. I'm like, this is Carl Gunstrom. Instantly, I'm like, I know who this is.
Yeah, it's Carl Grundstrom. God damn it. All right, we'll get him next time. I think I got a good one next time that I could use. Actually, I have a couple in the arsenal that I think I'll get you with.
I'm happy. I hope so. I'm 1 for 1 this season. It's a good start. Speaking of which, next week, probably right around Friday, we're going to talk about predictions. Any other great news that comes out. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm happy to be back recording this stuff for you guys. Yeah, we're back. Hockey's back. Let's all rejoice and watch this all together and enjoy this possibly crazy NHL season that's going to happen. So
this is the best time of the year because Aiden's not going to like that I said this. Baseball's over. Thank God. Football's back. Basketball's back next month. Hockey's back in a couple weeks. This is the best time of the year. This is exactly what I've been waiting for. This is exactly, I don't mean to sound like Cat Williams, but this is exactly what I've been waiting for.
I don't disagree.
Stephen A. Smith.
The Bills are 3-0. That's all I care about. They're going to be 4.
2-1. I'll take it.
And y'all want, I might jinx this. I don't care. They should be 5-0 after week 5. I'm just saying. Technically, they should be 6-0 because they should wipe the floor with New England and Atlanta. But that's not our show. That's James, Derek, and Ryan Adio's show. And we're not going to talk about it because we talk about hockey here and not football because it's a better sport.
This is the best time of the year. Glad hockey's back. Football's back. Basketball's going to be back. I got to suffer through another 82 games watching the Wizards. Trey Johnson looks promising.
If you want to hear more about the other sports, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to Afterthought Sports on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, maybe even Twitter. They might have it. I don't know. I'm out of the loop. But make sure you go watch the other shows, the Footballs and Forecasts, the basketball show. Sean, you know the name of it. You're on the podcast once in a while. What's that called? I'm sorry, guys.
Above the Rim.
Thank you. Above the Rim. Go watch that. Go watch all the fantasy football stuff that we're doing. It's all great content. We appreciate your support. And, well, as always, for the great Sean Walls, I'm Aiden Calkins, and thank you for tuning in to episode 1 of the new NHL season for us and the Snipe Score podcast. We will see you next time.
One more episode until the regular season starts.
One more, guys. We're almost there. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you.
Guys.
And we'll see you next time.